Greetings and peace to you all. My name is Umi. Thank you guys for tuning into my YouTube channel. And in this video, we're going to be exploring the different bodies that we have. So I know this sounds a bit otherworldly, and in fact it is. We're going to be exploring metaphysics. So it goes beyond our limited perception of things. And I'm just going to jump right into the video, and hopefully it will begin to make sense as we explore more of what the different bodies we have, what this actually means. So I have a board here. Let me adjust it so you guys can see. Okay, so we have a physical body, we have an energy body, we have a light body, we have a God body. Now, most of us operate in this realm of density. It's the physical body, and all of these little dots represent that density, mass, things being cluttered and clustered together, feeling a bit immovable, stuck, fixed. So the physical body is very much connected to our environment. This is the realm of manifestation, to manifest, the Son of Man. When we come into this world as physical beings, we've been manifested into the third dimensional reality. So therefore, a lot of our identity is caught up in the physical. We pursue our desires based on the physical pleasures, sense and touch and smell, and our relationships, and all of the things that we think are even of a spiritual nature are quite often connected to just the physical body. So people want to escape the physical body. And as you can see, all of these little dots representing that cluster is associated with matter, and matter being dense in the way that it is, things take longer to manifest. Things take longer to see clearly. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when we feel stuck in a relationship, it's almost as if your consciousness can't really maneuver and move through the density of your environment, the density of your experience. So the physical eyes and the physical body is just reading and understanding your experience based on the physical. So it is a limited expression of self because of how much we attach to it, how much we associate our reality to just the physical. So as more and more people begin to wake up, if you will, they become more aware of the energy body. The energy body is very much connected to our emotions, our thoughts. There's so much content on YouTube where people are teaching and training on the energy body, all this thought, understanding the emotions. This is connected to the aura, to meet a person or see a person, and beyond their physical expression, what they say, how they look, how they dress, all this stuff, we can pick up on their aura. Now, the energy body is a bit more dispersed in terms of the matter, in terms of the presence and essence of a person. The energy is a bit more dispersed, so it's more movable. So unlike the physical, which takes a while to change, the energy body can change on the drop of a hat. Someone can take you from a happy mood to being pissed off. You can go from being, feeling very low to having very high emotions and feelings of joy and euphoria. So many people who are connected to the energy body are very sentient. They're aware of, or they become very energetically sensitive. So this is the energy body. Don't assume everybody on the planet is connected to their energy body because we think and we feel. A lot of times that's based off of instinct, which is connected to the physical body, our animal nature. Animals operate off of instinct. They're not highly intelligent in the sense that they're really processing their emotions and really thinking through their feelings and thinking about things the way, on the level at least, that humans do. So to even elevate from just focus on the physical and the mundane in our environment takes effort to become in tune and aware of our energy body. Most of us aren't aware of our thoughts on a day-to-day. You can't recall everything you've said today, or every thought you've had, or every emotion you've had. It comes and goes. So the energy is a bit more dispersed, and it allows for movement and even the ability to transcend. The more awakened you become to your senses, to your emotions and your thoughts, then this energy, you can move through it, you can change it. So this is the energy body. From there, we move into the light body. The light body is lucid, it's connected to rapid transmission, As the moment you click on a flashlight, the light, we can't even perceive just how fast the light is traveling. So when we're tuned into or tapped into the light body, our energy becomes lighter because we're not focused on things like emotions and thoughts. We're moving into a more elevated state of consciousness, which is connected to light. So rapid transmission, this energy is weightless. There's no sound. So when Christ talks about, come to me, all you who are loaded and toiling, and I can make your load light, was not Christ an enlightened being? Was not Christ most connected to God, the essence of God, embodied into the physical form, which we study and know as Christ, for those of you who study in Christian teachings. So Christ in association with this light energy, we all can obtain that. So if we can simply step out of our physical condition of, I can't elevate beyond my physical needs and worries and the body, then certainly you can be trapped and stuck in this very dense, it's almost like a mud. We get stuck, the consciousness gets stuck in this energy. So your astrology and your nature and your desires and all of these things are futile. It's challenging to admit that, but it means nothing. It's futile because the physical body dies along with your desires, along with your astrology, along with your plans for the future. It all dies when the body is released. And therefore someone asked about suffering and why we keep coming back into this world or realm of suffering, because it's simply linked to the 3D world. 3 is the number of cycles. I drew the number 3, but if you keep drawing 3 connected, you see it's just a cycle. So in order to elevate or move out of that, you have to first become attuned and aware of the energy body, your thoughts, your emotions, the emotions and feelings of other beings, being sensitive to the energy so that you know what to abstain from, what you resonate with. This takes a bit of time and practice and effort to become aware of the energy body and not so washed up by the waves of your emotions, not so easily sidetracked and blown around by your thoughts. So it takes a work. Then to elevate from the energy body into the light body is the path of enlightenment. This is when people are wanting to let go of fear and suffering and emotions and our thoughts altogether. It's not a bad thing as if you are forfeiting the human experience by letting go of emotions and thoughts, but you begin to realize that, again, it's futile. It's most connected to the physical body. It's a step above and we're aware of it, but for the most part, your emotions mean nothing if you're not even able to train those emotions to be of use to yourself or humanity. Why are you in your feelings? What do your feelings really mean? What do your thoughts really mean? If you can't manifest those thoughts into creativity or into something that is useful and applicable to your life and to the world, again, it's futile. So elevating to this place of enlightenment does allow us to benefit the masses. Remember, mass. We're able to penetrate this the physical realm, but only if there's space for our light to move through. So many of you are tapping into your light body. You're on this path of enlightenment. You're feeling lighter in terms of your pursuits and your understanding and perception of things. But then when you go to connect with your family and talk to other people and try to go to work and try to live a normal life, you realize your light isn't penetrating. So the light body is like online, offline, because the higher up you raise, the higher you raise your vibration, your energy, your consciousness, your perception, your spiritual wisdom, you become more and more detached from the physical realm. Or rather, people can't even perceive you. People begin to say, like, you've changed. They don't understand you. They don't understand your energy. Your environment begins to change. Your frequency begins to change. You go from this slow-moving, dense energy associated with the physical world and feeling stuck to all of a sudden you're lighter, you're freer, you're making shit happen in your life. And those who are in the physical, stuck in the physical perception of things, don't know what's going on with you, and you begin to feel that separation, isolation, distance, alone, all of those things we feel when we're like, oh, I'm awakening, I'm on this path to awakening. That's what happened when the sun rises. When you're sleeping at night and the sun rises, your internal clock and even your sensory around you begins to feel the light pouring into your room or into your wherever, and you wake up, you start to wake up. So the more that you connect to this light body and you begin to wake up, there are those who are still sleeping and stuck in this density, darkness. So it's not a literal darkness, it's quite literally a darkness within their consciousness, and you begin to drift more and more out of their perception, where you can't connect with people as easily as you did before. You don't resonate with your job because it's not quite fulfilling or stimulating or as exciting, or even spiritually, like your spirit is like, I don't get it. I don't need to be here. This doesn't do anything for me. I feel like I have a much greater purpose. So as you begin to elevate into the energy of the light body, again, you become more weightless. You can transmit this energy here into the physical, into the energy body, but it takes effort. And you have to recognize that everyone won't perceive your light or even for those who do, they may resist it, because it's like you're shining a light in the darkness. And for those who are sleeping in that energy, in that form, for those who are not only just sleeping, but for those who love to be in this dense energy, they will resist this light. They don't want it because they may be carrying on life and pursuing things. And for you to shine a light on what they're doing, or for you to shine a light, let's say someone's eating poorly, and you recognize from your space of enlightenment and empowerment and wisdom, you recognize that the way they're eating is affecting their energy. They're moody, their emotions are out of whack, their aura seems murky, and they're just not attractive. Their energy is not attractive. So you try to shed some light on that. You try to empower them and give them some knowledge to help them. And they refuse it. They reject it. They become irritated or defensive. This is what I mean by trying to penetrate your light through such a dense space. This 3D reality is so dense that bringing light here can really make you a target. People will attack you. People will reject it. So you really want to focus on maintaining this, because when you do feel attacked, when you do feel alone, what happens is your consciousness begins to sink right back down to your feelings, your emotions. I'm lonely. Your thoughts begin to sink, and then the next thing you know, you're back to the mundane. You're back to the everyday experience of life that isn't fulfilling for you, and you feel stuck again. You're back at that old relationship. You feel like, well, this is safe, this is comfortable, this is familiar, I'm accepted here. And so you don't make that climb again. But remember, we're intended to elevate and to grow and to expand. So beyond the light body, our pursuit of enlightenment or reaching enlightenment, we move into the God body. So this is when we become a bit more ethereal. Keep in mind, ethereal is quite associated with being otherworldly. Something that within the physical, it would come across as some sort of anomaly, phenomenon. It's abnormal, it's different, it's otherworldly. We're not used to seeing or experiencing such high frequencies as the God body. So people can talk about it. People can say, I'm in my God body, or they feel like they're dropping jewels on us with knowledge, and they're assuming this energy or presence of the God within them because they recognize that it exists. So we may acknowledge that God exists. Remember, this is connected to transcendence through death. People say, when you die, you go to meet God. But in essence, the transcendence through death, it doesn't have to be a literal death of the physical. It doesn't have to be a literal death of the physical, but it does mean that something is going to have to die pertaining to your connection to the physical. Because keep in mind, as the light here is spread out, it's lucid, it's free moving, it's rapid transmission, it could penetrate wherever there's no block. The God body does not have any boundaries, any limitations, anything to prevent its expression. So it's everywhere. And therefore, we all have the God body within us. We all have God within us, however you understand or perceive this energy. The reason I have here that it's unseen is because many of us, and arguably people, don't know what God is, who God is, how to identify God. People have different perceptions of God, but we're trying to personify the unseen, even the unknowable, because we're still here on this dense physical plane, and we're trying to vibrate at such a high level so as to embody God and to live out God and to express God. This is the God body. But it takes quite a bit of effort. It even takes going beyond enlightenment to bring this energy into the physical world, because with light can't penetrate everything. If I held up a board here and I'm trying to shine a light through, it can't penetrate through something that is solid. So the physical world is so solid. Think about when Christ came to earth, people not only rejected it, but his light did not penetrate everyone. Everyone did not receive it. Everyone couldn't even see who he was. even once he died, resurrected, and was back, his consciousness was able to enter to anybody's consciousness that was willing to receive it. But people were so dense, and today people are so dense, they're still waiting for his return, and he's living. Like, Christ is a living energy. It's a living consciousness. It's a living light that you can embody it at any time. It's not something we're waiting for and looking for. It's here. It's present. This is the consciousness that the enlightened beings have talked about, that these things I do, you can do also. So why are we waiting for something that Christ has already given clear instruction that we can house this light body energy? But again, because it does not penetrate everywhere and people reject and people can't see it, we're still striving to reach and embody the God body, which is what Christ did. He embodied the God body. We perceived it as the light body, but beyond that, there is no physical body. There's no physical perception of it. It's always perceived as light, because beyond that, it takes no form. It doesn't even, light can be sucked into a black hole. So when we're talking about light, it even has its limitations because it's connected to matter to some extent. But beyond that, ascension through death, releasing the body, releasing any connection to any limited material, any limited substance, we become like God, omniscient, everywhere. So this is what happened upon his resurrection. I know this video is not specifically about Christ, but I have to use this as an example because here in the West, many people are familiar with the life of Christ, but so many people are still idolizing and worshiping the physical body of Christ, the pictures and the deity, but they're not seeing that he was a light body being embodying his God body. Upon his death of the physical body, his light body transcended, and at any point he can enter and exit your consciousness and teach you and train you and guide you and lift you up. I am the light and the truth and the way. But we're still down here focused on our problems, our relationships, like who we are, our animal nature, our instincts. We want to know these things, and rightfully so. You're trying to identify who you are. But what I'm simply saying here, with respect to the knowledge you're pursuing, is that keep in mind a lot of what you're pursuing is futile. You don't need to know, like if I said, oh yeah, Jesus was a Capricorn, or Jesus was this, it doesn't matter. It means nothing. He was an enlightened being. He transcended the limitations of his physical, his instincts, the human nature. And he taught us that we could do the same thing. So knowledge, my people perish for lack of knowledge, has everything to do with the fact that we're not even willing to obtain the knowledge we need to elevate in consciousness. We're still stuck in our physical world of needing answers, our physical world of confusion, our physical world of desires, and our environment. So to bring down and to house the higher spiritual energies, the wisdom, the qualities that grant us, innovation and change and positivity, there is going to be a time where humanity is going to go through it's going to break down. That dense, thick material of the masses is going to have to be dismantled and broken down. Unfortunately, it does often manifest as destruction or war or these things, because that's how you just destroy something physical. You have to break it down. So the material world goes through death and decay. That's just a part of this world. So suffering that you see, consider it as a dream. When you're in a dream and you're dreaming, and let's say someone is chasing you, in the dream it's so real. Otherwise you wouldn't run. You wouldn't have any fear. You would recognize that you're dreaming and this is an illusion. But when someone's chasing you and they have a knife and you're scared and you're in fear and you're running so slow, because fear is a slow frequency. So in your dream, it manifests as a slow moving. You can't run that fast, but yet the person's catching up to you and you're like trying to get away. All of that feels so real until you wake up and you realize it was a what? It was a dream. It wasn't real. So although the physical experiences you and I are having, I'm not saying that it's not a real experience, but in essence, you wake up from this. So when you die and you let go of the physical body, all the suffering and everything you witnessed was that, a dream. Coming back onto the planet through reincarnation, or however way you see it, visit the video called Death, the Great Divide, and we just basically come right back through the portal of the womb. Live, die, come right back through the portal of the womb. And we keep experiencing this, layers upon layers upon layers of dreams. Yes, there is a as above, so below to this. And we'll talk more about that in another video. But you just have to understand that the suffering is not it's not real in the sense that you can't associate so much with your environment because this is a physical world. So the suffering we see, the pain, the loss, the death, the decay, all of what we see, it doesn't last. Same way when a tree dies and it or burns and the leaves fall and the seeds that were planted in it, next thing you know, there's a new tree, new leaves, new life, new fruit, and the cycle continues. So don't perceive the death and suffering as something that God is infringing upon humanity. Like God wants us to suffer or anything like that. God is within you. So we have to elevate in our consciousness in order to make changes in our own physical world. We're creating the suffering. When your environment is cluttered, guess what? That clutter and confusion manifests in your energy body. Then you can't think straight. Then your emotions are erratic and scattered. And you will never make it to observing and experiencing and expressing the light body because we're stuck between this lower expression. So take this and flip it under and invert it. And this is when you get into the very low and very painful and hard experiences of negative, dark, even demonic energy that weighs on us, and it becomes more and more dense the more layers you go down. But not going to speak on that. We're going to keep building on the positive, building on the light body and the path toward enlightenment, because it could take lifetimes for humans to awaken to this potential, awaken to the power that is housed within you, because God is within you. But we're afraid to accept that or admit that, because that would mean we would have to take responsibility and acknowledge that, as it says in scriptures, ye are gods, but we die as men because we're connected to the physical. But that part of you that is God means that you have some measure of connection and empowerment, or power rather, when it comes to this physical world, this third dimensional reality. So if you desire to transcend that, wake up to who you are. Wake up to the work that you're doing. Let go of all the unnecessary baggage, because I find that the more I study, the more knowledge I obtain, the more I apply that knowledge and see the changes and growth, I feel that much more distant from my husband. I feel that much more distant from my children even. That my responsibilities as a mother remains, but my connection to them as like protector, and I feel so much love and I can't let them go, and I want to be here forever to just raise them and see them and experience life. But then I think I have to continue to grow and pursue the higher teachings and the higher spiritual insights and all of these things in order to elevate out of the density of this physical world. And that may mean, that feeling of separation, that feeling of isolation. And some of you may know what I'm talking about, where you kind of feel like you're drifting away from what's so familiar, your friends and family. But not to sound redundant here, I'm going to shut the video off there, and I will talk more about 2D, 3D, 4D for some of you who are interested in the discussion on it, because we hear it a lot. We hear people talk about 4D, 5D, and ascension and all these things, but keep in mind the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. A lot of very powerful Eastern philosophies and Eastern teachings and wisdom that comes from the east, it dies in the west, because we study things and we take this knowledge and we bring it over here, and it becomes profane. We kind of like, you'd be surprised how many people are master yogis all of a sudden because they've studied Eastern teachings. So when the sun sets in the west, darkness falls. And what happens is that very thing that was once so pure and so beneficial and so beautiful has come here to just simply fall into this Western form. It's a watered down form of the essence of what's being taught. So the same way yoga is not all about contortions and just being in Zen and all this stuff. There's so much more to it, but you have to respect where the source of where it's coming from. So these teachings are intended to help you return to the source of it. I'm not taking Eastern teachings. I didn't get this from a book to come to the West to just let it die here, or let it be something that somebody takes and runs off with it without any respect and proper application of it. It has to be a proper application of the knowledge for it to be useful, for it to be applicable, for it to benefit you and the world around you. So I hope that you guys found this information useful. Please share your thoughts on the subject. Thank you so much for tuning in to this video, and until next time, peace.